Welcome to our first video lecture on Introduction to MATLAB. My name is Jethro Kimande. I want to introduce to you to MATLAB working environment. Basically, I'm going to talk about 5 key areas that you should be able to understand before you begin to study or learn MATLAB programming language. First, I'll begin by talking about the command window. The command window gives us the capability of writing commands in MATLAB and executing them. At the same time, it gives us the output for the MATLAB commands that we input in. For example, I will do a simple arithmetic operation like a summation of two integers values. For example, I will choose to take 5 plus 6. Then when I press enter, it will give me an answer 11. What MATLAB has done, it has created a variable called ANC and assigned the value of the computation to that particular variable. I might choose to use my own variables to be able to store my values. For example, I might choose to assign the value 5 to a variable called A, 5 to A. Then I might choose to assign the variable B with the value 6. Then I might choose to say I want to store this particular summation in a variable called answer. So I'll write answer, then assign that answer to A plus B. You need to take note of my case of my variable B because B was uppercase and then I have to call it as an uppercase because MATLAB is case sensitive. So when I hit enter, it will give me the answer to my particular summation. So the command window simply gives us an opportunity to be able to write commands and then be able to execute those commands. Then number 2, we'll talk about the MATLAB workspace. On my left, you can see this is what I'm calling the workspace. The workspace simply keeps track of the variables that is being able to be executed in the command window. It stores those particular variables and their values that are assigned to them in one area so that you can be able to check on the attributes of each and every variable. If you can see like 5 is assigned to A, it has a value of 5. It has a maximum for 5. You can also get a minimum. It has also a memory space like 8 bytes each of them. Unfortunately, it is 8 bytes. So actually it gives us more information of which kind of data we're dealing with on the command window, so we can be able to understand sometimes what kind of problem we're having with the code by simply looking at the workspace. So it's a very important tool that you need to really understand for you to have a smooth run in learning MATLAB. Also, I will introduce you what you call the current folder. The current folder is a folder that keeps us the scripts or the functions that are currently being used by the command window. It's not a bit very clear now, but as we progress in official lessons, we'll be able to understand the importance of using the command folder, especially when we'll be learning about functions. You realize that when you want to call functions, sometimes it is best practice if those functions were in the current folder, because the compiler will have an easier access to those particular functions. So it's an important part of the working environment in MATLAB that I might want to introduce it at later time. Then another thing I want to introduce you to is what you call about the editor. Like we saw in our command window, we realized that we can only input one command at a time. What happens if we have like 500 commands that we want to do in MATLAB? Then you find that it will be very cumbersome for us to write each of those commands in MATLAB and to execute them each one step at a time. So there is what you call a script on the top left. When you hit on new script, it will give you an editor where you can write several commands, then execute those commands at one time. Maybe we try to do some other arithmetic operations. Maybe I can call a variable called c and assign the value of 100. Then I can also call another function, maybe d. I can assign the value of 1.725, whichever value. Then I can call product, for example. Now this time I call that product, and to assign this product c multiplied by d. So when I hit here run, when I run my editor file, it will give me an opportunity to save that particular file. Of course, there are naming rules for MATLAB, but we'll get to learn about that in coming lectures. So just now, I just want to save. I would save it as my first program. Okay, my first program, like that. So when I save it, it will simply run my function, and it will be able to give me product. So if you can see, look at that. We have simply run. I might pull this a little bit. We have run my first program. Oh, it's set saved as program. Okay, my first program. Then it gave us the contents that are in that particular program, because I didn't terminate using a semicolon. Otherwise, you could not be seeing this CMD displaying on the command window. And it did for us the product, which we can be able to see it here. And the beauty is that all those are captured also on the workspace, as you can see on my left. So that is an easier way of dealing with so many lines in programming code. So you can write like 50 lines, 1,000 lines comfortably and execute them at once. Then lastly, I also want to introduce to you to what I'm calling the help in MATLAB. And on my right, you can be able to see this question mark sign. When you hit on it, it will be able to pop up a new screen for help. Help is there to be able to offer solutions to most of your problems that you face when you are doing coding, especially for inbuilt functions, because they will give you a syntax on how you're going to call the functions in your script or your command window. So basically, I will type here one of the inbuilt functions like max, which is given here. You know that max gives us the largest element in array. What I simply mean is it is the largest element, like in a vector. For example, I have a vector of 20 values and want to get the maximum of that particular vector. So like I can choose to click on this one, then you'll see that it will give me the syntax on how I can be able to call my max functions, either in a command window or in a command editor. It also gives me a description of whatever that syntax is all about. So you can see here, you're defining what is the C, you're defining what is the A, and it's also giving you an example of how directly you can apply that in MATLAB. And if you copy this example just on your command window, for example, it will be able to display the same answer, that is whatever it is giving us here. So this is one of the important tools that you really need to be well conversant with and to be able to utilize in your coding, so that you can be able to overcome some of the challenges that you face in coding as a beginner in MATLAB.